how good does a game really need to be good? Does that make any sense? I feel like a crazy person. Welcome to Abandoned Save, where I take a look at the great, not legendary games of the past that you forgot about and left that save in the dust. This time I wanted to go back and check out a game that I remembered liking in the past, but don't see anyone ever talk about, and as the title says, that game is Wet. What a name. We can all see what they were going for with it, with the edgy female protagonist, even when they justify it by saying it was a playoff of Wetwork, but they know what sells, just look at Stellar Blade, though that game was really fun. Wet was created by Artificial Mind and Movement, who you may not recognize by that name, but maybe by their current name, Behaviour Interactive. The people who made Dead by Daylight are the same ones that made High School Musical, Livin' the Dream, and good old Wet over here. By the way, they changed their name for a couple reasons, but one of them was because their abbreviation was A2M.
You never go ass to mouth, Randall.
Anyway, I'm going to take you through a playthrough of Wet and talk about how something so objectively bad in so many areas can still leave a smile on my face all these years later, to the point where I still think it's good, even when I know damn well it's not. We start the game and our main character Ruby is watching a trade deal gone wrong, and there's a Wilhelm scream within the first 30 seconds. We then get a quick tutorial on jumping, sliding, and wall running, and then we can start the game. Ruby shoots much slower when you aren't doing an acrobatic move that we just got the tutorials for, so the gameplay is 100% run and gun in Max Payne slow-mo. Every time you do one of these things, she will automatically aim at a nearby enemy while you shoot, and your aiming reticle controls her second gun, allowing you to shoot two enemies at once or focus fire on one particular guy. There's also a multiplier in the corner that goes up as you do different things in combat that gives you points for later. This is pretty much what the combat is for the entire game, barring some new weapons. It kind of pretends it's a Devil May Cry Max Payne hybrid, but it's really just a third-person shooter with infinite witch time. It can feel a little one-note and fatiguing after a while, but there's other stuff going on that keeps it fun, like this monkey toy collectible. There's a lot of monkey stuff in this game. Why monkeys? I have no idea. Enemies also call Ruby Monkey Girl. Does she have monkey tattoos, monkey guns, a hidden monkey fetish? Your guess is as good as mine. Oh yeah, Ruby also has a sword, because she can't pretend to be Dante if she doesn't have one. There's no particular reason to use it other than you want to, but hold that thought, we're about to go down a ladder. Eat your heart out, Stellar Blade, this is how real women use ladders. The game features a lot of small parkour sections where you're jumping around, running up or along walls, or spinning on poles. Horizontal poles. Also, this is how you heal.
What a woman.
Then we finally get introduced to the main mechanic of the game, arenas. In these sections, you'll have to close off all of the spawning doors while fighting off the enemies, and various rockabilly songs play as you do it. There's a unique song for each one of these, taken from a list of several artists I've never heard of. This is the main thing keeping you going throughout the whole game. Fighting enemies in an arena while some crazy song plays loudly as a badass mercenary woman is enough to keep me playing for a while, and at around 4 hours long, it keeps you entertained long enough to see it through without overstaying its welcome. After each arena, you'll get a chance to upgrade Ruby and her weapons with the points you've collected, and they put moves behind these upgrades once again like a Devil May Cry, but the things you can do are still pretty limited since the combat is pretty much either jumping or sliding around and shooting. The parts of the game where you're just jumping around and fighting a few enemies here and there while you get to the next main combat zone are strangely devoid of music though, like they spent all their budget on the licensed music and just said fuck it on the rest. These parts aren't long, so it doesn't happen that often, but it is really odd. I have guns and that asshole just ran up and hit me with a bat? He deserves to have done more damage for the balls it took to do that. Wait, what? Why are the cardboard boxes made of metal? I have so many questions for this game. Occasionally there are combat encounters like this where you just have to kill all the enemies with no spawn doors to worry about, and they don't occur as often, but these come with their own unique songs too. Mage Flinch! The guy we've been chasing is run off in a car on the highway, so it's time for a chase scene. Is Ruby gonna do that in her own car? Hell no! We're gonna jump around on top of random cars on the highway while shooting at dudes and wall running on semis, all while what I think is the best song in the game plays. This is what I mean with the title of this video. This game is objectively bad. The combat is bare bones, it's incredibly short, the main character barely says anything, and there's a few other issues I'll get to later. But playing this section is just pure fun. I don't care about the other problems. I want my ridiculous popcorn movie action scenes to be playable, and this game delivers on that.
You bitch! You fucking bitch!
Oh, you should not have said that.
You fucking bitch!
Ruby delivers the case we've been after thus far to someone, and holy shit, it's the Crimson Chin. I don't know why he's taken the form of a female nurse, but who else could it be? Turns out the case was a heart that was needed to save the life of our contractor's father, and Ruby takes the money and leaves. That was the prologue, and then the game cuts to a year later and the title drop. In case you didn't notice on account of the fact that she never fucking says anything, Ruby is actually voiced by Elijah Dushku, Faith from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. The game also features voices by Malcolm McDowell from A Clockwork Orange and Alan Cumming from Spy Kids. So there went that ambient music budget again. But it's not just Ruby that hardly ever speaks in this game, no one does. They probably brought these guys all in from Hollywood to record and had them sent back home with a donut and a slap on the ass by lunch. Hey, A2M at this time, you should not have spent your money like this. Somebody get them on Caleb Hammer's show. Here's the list of artists featured on the soundtrack, by the way. I hope some of them found at least a few new fans from being included here. At any time from the menu, you can access Ruby's Boneyard to try these challenges, but when you get new weapons, there's always a mandatory one as part of the story, in addition to the ones you can just do for fun. You get medals for completing the challenges in certain times, but they don't really do anything other than unlock some of the game's achievements. Since the emphasis on the combat is more on the music than anything else, I think this was a good idea by the devs. Adding something like a Bloody Palace mode would just be boring and not add much. There's also training here for the mounted gun as if you really needed a tutorial on how to do that, and the dual shotguns that we now have access to. I'm really not sure why you need shotguns in a game where you already have a sword, and I didn't really use them that much. In fact, I rarely used any weapon other than the pistols and sword because even though they're the starter weapons, they're just as good as everything else, and you never have to worry about ammo. Once you're done with the training, the circus arrives in a limo. The guy we delivered the heart to is back and wants us to rescue his son from Hong Kong, but apparently Ruby is afraid of flying. So afraid of flying that him just saying he'll make it worth her while was all it took for her to change her mind. These writers must have won so many awards. Ruby meets a contact of hers named Ming and his son Ji in Hong Kong to get some information to find Mr. Ackers' son. The family has a major drug business, and the son Trevor is working on a drug business here, but we have to find him, so we're going to have to talk to Rat Boy. There's no way he goes by that willingly, right? Is the game even going to explain who these informants are or who Rat Boy is? No, it's not. It's not going to explain anything, ever, so get used to it. Hey, where's this guy's spot on the soundtrack? Just ahead of that section is the first time Ruby gets pissed off. We have a new song like usual, but the art style is changed to this heavy red and black, and the multiplier gets traded out for a kill chain counter. This is almost exactly the same as the arenas, but the style is great and makes it feel a bit different. It's very arcadey, and then when you get to the end, Ruby calms herself down with a harmonica solo. See? Why? Why is she a monkey lady? I don't get it. Why won't this game explain anything to me? And then in the next fight, I blew up some barrels so hard it crashed my whole Xbox. Does this count as an ass shot? I don't know. Oh, by the way, you heal in combat at a speed dictated by your multiplier, which essentially means as long as you stay aggressive, you are functionally immortal. In return, they've added stage hazards like this electrocuted ground, and enemies start to do a ton of damage quickly as it's the only way they could realistically kill you. This is an interesting design decision. I'm not going to say it's bad. I think the aggressive style they want you to have in combat is fun and keep things moving quickly, but it also contributes to the sameness of the combat since you really can't afford to be out of slow-mo for too long. Oh yeah, and this game sometimes decides it's going for an old school drive-in movie aesthetic and has cut-ins like this. I legitimately have no idea what they were going for with that. It doesn't feel like it fits in at all, and it's weirdly charming because of it. I can't explain it, but every ridiculous thing this game does wrong just makes me like it more. It's like a time capsule for old game design, and it's not even 20 years old. After a brief arena fight and mounted turret section, we get a boss fight with Rat Boy that is very easy, and then you have to melee attack him to finish it off.
You fucking bitch! Who the fuck are you?
Every single dude just calls Ruby a bitch. I can't blame her for the attitude. At least with the information from him, we've located the guy we're after, and another one of my favorite songs in the game. This is the constant yo-yo again. The game does something really stupid and bad like that boss fight, and then one of these sections with a cool song shows up, and I like it. Oh, she just stabbed that guy in the balls. Alright, well that was uncalled for. Now let's just take this guy back to Daddy and the circus crew. Oh, what a family.
Just you and me. This is better, don't you think?
Oh yeah, it's a wet dream.
And now we have a French swordsman cowboy. Sure. I wonder what happens when you fail these QTEs. Ah, sword straight to the boob. Just what I expected. And then he just stabs Ruby and takes off when you succeed anyway. Good thing Hat Boy here was around to save her. Apparently his name is Milo, and he's another of Ruby's informants. He's going to help us find Ackers for some revenge, and then the next cutscene has dialogue running over itself.
Townsley Wing. She said she
What
wanted
kind
a
of
trade.
trade?
It's beautiful, really. I think this is some kind of twisted enjoyment, like how The Room is so fun to watch. It's truly falling apart in front of me, and I'm having a blast. And what is a game from 2009 without a little plane heist? Thanks, Uncharted 2. We have to steal a book in exchange for information, get caught on the plane, and then we're falling to the ground and shooting some dudes who are way too committed to their boss, because if I was in this situation, Ruby could steal whatever the hell she wanted to as long as it wasn't my parachute. This section is more involved than the highway chase, but it doesn't feel as fun to me. Maybe it's because the song isn't as interesting to me, I'm not sure, but it plays out super fast either way. We've got dual SMGs now too, though I didn't really find them to be that great to use. Our antics on the plane are just knowledge of a route into the Ackers estate from this mine-infested beach, which is the most Uncharted feeling section in the whole game, even more than the plane crash. Especially this part where you're climbing up a bridge and you have to avoid flaming barrels you have no way of knowing are coming. I'm gonna kill whoever is pushing these down as soon as I... Oh, they're just magic then. Honestly, I don't know what I expected. Inside, they decided to play with the slow-mo and auto-targeting a little bit with these doors, which is really cool, and nothing like it ever happens again. The ideas were there, peppered in all throughout the game. I feel like this was remarkably close to being a solid 8 out of 10 game. Unsurprisingly, it had some issues getting published. Originally, it was going to be published by Activision, who later dropped it, and Sierra picked it up, but then they dropped it too, and Bethesda came around to save the day and get it out. The only reason it wasn't cancelled is because the game was mostly finished by the time they'd been dropped for the second time, and it's a miracle it even came out. I don't know what kind of development hell it may have gone through to get this far because of that, but that could be a great explanation for what happened to this game and why it ended up coming out in this state.
Hi, I'm Chili Dilly, the personality pickle. Packed in a jar for the freshest flavor. Served cold in a sack for you to savor. So dainty to eat, no muss, no fuss. An ideal snack for all of us.
Or maybe it was that. Who's to say, really? We finally arrive in front of Ackers, and it's someone else entirely. Looks like we were duped at the beginning of the game. Someone tricked Ruby into killing the son, and now the real dad is understandably pissed. We're going to have to fight our way out of there so we can get some answers, but let's not forget to stab another minigun guy in the balls on the way. Apparently, just describing the freak show members is enough for Milo to figure out the mystery contractor was Rupert Pelham. Probably aren't too many French cowboy swordsmen out there. The Ackers were rival drug lords to Pelham, which is why he would have wanted them out of the picture, and that sends us back to Hong Kong and our friends from the first visit. Ming doesn't know where to find them though, so we're going to go look for one of their friends, and right as Ruby leaves, the Backstreet Boys arrive. On the way through the harbor, they set off some explosives, and the game becomes Crash Bandicoot for like 30 seconds. It's bizarre, and it never happens again, like pretty much everything that's slightly different in the game. Yeah, I saw that coming, but I really wanted to know if the game would actually let me throw myself off the ledge with the sword combo, and unsurprisingly, it does. Now let's look at this guy trying to block bullets with his sword. Even Ruby doesn't try that. I have to respect it. At this point, I realized that for some reason, the Gatling gun guys have to be in a certain spot for you to do the QTE to finish them. So if they aren't there when they get low enough in health, you have to sit there and watch them limp over to their designated death spot in order to get rid of them. And if you wait long enough, they'll heal and start shooting you again, so you really need to take care of them when you can. This is probably supposed to be here to make the encounter harder. I can't imagine this is some kind of design limitation of the QTEs, but that would be fucking crazy if that's the reason.
Why is that bitch still alive?
Has there been a single main bad guy that hasn't referred to Ruby as a bitch? Oh my god, it's the attack of the emo dock workers. Why do they all look like that? Was Van's Warped Tour showing up later that day? Also, most of Jun Lee's voice lines just didn't play during this interrogation. And that problem is going to persist, you guessed it, throughout the rest of the game. A good chunk of the voice lines just won't play anymore. I'll at least say I am playing straight off of the disc without any updates, so maybe that's been fixed, but let's just go ahead and add that to the list of issues this game has. Oh, it also crashed during the loading screen afterwards. We do our last quick tutorial challenge for the dual explosive crossbows, which sound a lot cooler than they are, but at least it's followed up by the most inspired opening to a level in this game. You have to climb in and around this building chasing after Pelham, eventually climbing through the fire-breathing dragon on the front that you start the level by sliding down. It's really cool, and if every level was like this, I think a lot more people would remember this game.
Are you ready to rock, bitches? 1, 2, fuck you!
Wait, why the hell is Cartman singing in the background of this arena? Oh my god, it was the band on the stage. And as you kill them after they start attacking you, the music actually stops. This is what this game needed. The entire level shows what was there. I know I've said that about a few mechanics, but this one is the ultimate showcase of what was possible. Back to the game, it looks like the enemies have G, so he survived the attack of the boy band. His voice did not, though. And now he's betrayed us. They must have kept him around because he didn't have any tips to Frost. Obviously, instead of killing Ruby like you'd expect, they've captured her and are now torturing her to see who she's working for. Too bad for them, she refuses to talk, and then this shot of her walking towards the camera was totally necessary for the plot, I assure you. Pelham's friends are escaping in a car now, and this time it's right after one of those sections where Ruby gets blood on her face and the graphics change. So while it plays out pretty much exactly the same as the start of the game, this does make it visually distinct. Or everyone in this part of town just drives white and black cars. Back to London we go, but Ruby checks on Ming first, who's been bleeding out for the past God knows how long, but he lasted long enough for Ruby to see him die and beg for help. What even happened in those 30 seconds? That was unedited. That could not have been storyboarded.
Fucking door!
Yeah, they really got their money's worth out of Miss Dushku, didn't they? I love how this guy doesn't have to jump around to avoid all this fire, but I do. And once we finally catch up to him, Ruby has some choice words for him.
Become the hunted, eh?
Well, what are you
I
going
can
to...
shove this down your throat.
Oh, really? That sounds like fun. And then what?
And then I pull real hard, and as it comes out, your stomach comes with it. And as you lay in shock, looking at your own stomach hanging out of your mouth, you slowly bleed internally, and there's nothing you can do to save yourself.
Fucking mad.
What a woman.
The game jumps straight from that to confronting Pelham with no lead-in whatsoever, and also he's mysteriously gone mute and has also captured the Real Ackers' father. This leads to a QTE boss fight with the Tim Burton lady with magic disappearing powers. Yeah, beat her ass, Ruby. Wait, not like literally, though. With her out of the way, we confront Pelham with some more QTEs. Mr. Ackers essentially says he won't go after Ruby since she at least got vengeance for him. There's one more cut to the pale princess twitching as sequel bait, and then it cuts to credits. There was a PSP port of this game planned for some reason, but that was cancelled before it ever came out, much like the planned sequel, which Bethesda declined to publish. We'll never know what the plans for that sequel were, but it's probably better off that way, because it would have likely gone through publisher hell again and caused a litany of issues, maybe even some new ones this time. Behaviour went on to mostly work on licensed games and as support staff for other games for a while after this, before they put out Dead by Daylight, and I don't think anyone could have predicted that being as big of a hit as it's been. So, back to my original argument, how good does a game really need to be considered good? Well, I think if we're being objective, the answer is at least better than wet, but that isn't objective, is it? Good is a subjective term, and ultimately, I've had a decent amount of fun with this game. Would I recommend picking it up? Well, considering it goes for around $40 for some reason, I would say no. But for a couple dollars, hell yeah. It's a great way to spend a few hours. Get some buddies and make fun of it the whole way through. It strikes a nice balance of being just good enough that it's still fun to play through, while being bad enough that it's easy to riff off of. Anyway, thanks for sticking around to the end of the video, and if you liked it, please consider leaving a like or subscribing to help the channel grow, and I'll be back in 2 weeks with another one.
I once had some sweet memories. It's